Hello YouTube, this is TheLonePantheist. I'm just going to do another video today. I'm really thinking about something lately, and it's basically how being human in this world that we live in tends to have no value. Now, what I mean by that is I'm talking specifically of group mentality. Now, it is an inconvenient truth that we are a predator species. We do prey on each other. We prey on, well, things that we eat, things that we deem to be a threat, so on and so forth. So group mentality tends to play a big role in this, whether we associate with being a particular religion, a particular nationality, race, skin color, whatever. Now, the problem comes, I've done videos on this about individuals seeking this group mentality, this oneness thing. But the problem is it comes mainly from the fact that when people say, "Oh, we're all just humans," like that tends to have no value. The reason why is because there's nothing to unify us as humans against something else that's not human. Okay, and people can't unify because there's always going to be somebody out to screw you. So you look for a commonality amongst the people who are out there to screw you. Okay, so you kind of stick them in this group, this little group, like, oh, this person believes differently, so they're going to stick them all in that group. This guy's out to get me too. We're going to stick them all in that group. We're going to name this group. We're going to name it. They tend to name it. And blame all the problems on that particular group. If we get rid of this group, life's going to be a paradise. And it tends to be what I call the two identity rule. Okay, you see this with Jews and Gentiles, black and white, or African, non-African, European, non-European, Asian, non-Asian, infidel, Muslim, sinner, Christian, believer, non-believer. You see this a lot, and there's some people on here who say, "Well, I identify as being human." No. You probably identify more with being a Christian, a Muslim, an atheist, black or white, or your nationality being American or something, more so than you identify with being human. And or even a proletariat and bourgeoisie. Okay, you see that in communist countries. Proletariat's the worker, slave, whatever. The bourgeoisie is the business owner, the master, whatever you want to call it. And so you see this kind of like dual identity that erupts within humanity because they have to unify and destroy this one group, this particular group. So they give it a name, they slap a name on it, and it becomes a particular group. Case in point is, you go to Europe, you have different nations. You go to Africa, you have different nations as well. Tribal nations, whatever you want to call them. Same thing can be said for Europe, Asia, whatever. And they're not unified. Okay, they're more unified probably when they come to America, because you have that unifying effect. Labeling if you're a white person in Europe and you say that we are white people, that has no value because everybody's white. You say that you're a black person in Africa, that too has no value. Being black has no value because everyone there is black, or everyone there is African. So therefore, labeling yourself an African just carries no value, it carries no weight. It's like, okay, what political group do you belong to? And labeling yourself American, going beyond skin color, it has no value because you have conservatives, you have liberals, you have Republicans, you have Democrats, you have Christians, Jews, Gentiles, whatever you want to call us. You have, non-religious, religious people. Okay, so they're going to have this group mentality, and it's an inconvenient truth, but that's just how it being human works. You identify with what you believe to be the individuals that have your best interest, because an individual cannot survive in this world on his own or her own. So they tend to know that they're going to be killed or have some type of threat, so they're going to try to collectively get others to help them to counteract this threat. Okay, this is what you see in racist groups, this is what you see in religious groups, like Bill O'Reilly. Okay, they can't have multiple enemies. Okay, they can't have somebody who's a Christian, who's a Jew, who's an atheist, and all hate them. They're going to find a collective reason. If they're Christian, they're going to say that they're all non-believers or all sinners. Bill O'Reilly was one when he spout off that Hitler stuck Hitler in with Stalin and Pol Pot. saying that he was an atheist. He was Roman Catholic, or German Catholic, if you want to be more precise. Well, he's in Austria, or he's Austrian. But so anyway, so they try to identify and stick it into one group, so they know which group all this problem comes in. Okay, if that person that's screwing them over doesn't fit, he doesn't fit into this group, they'll force him into the group by calling him a sellout, or by saying that he's not really a believer, or by saying he's a traitor, or something. They will stick something on this person, him or her, and say that why they belong in this group, even if they don't really belong in that group, because it's group mentality. It's easy to identify good and bad than identify not so good, 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 or not so bad, not so bad, not so bad, not so bad. Okay, you see this with allies and aggressive forces. You see this with pretty much anything. Okay, it's just how it is. It's group mentality. Okay, saying that we're all human, it doesn't carry the weight, because everywhere you go, human beings, when they interact with each other, they're all human, so they're not going to see it. They're blind to it. They're blind to the fact that they are all human. Just like, in terms of an animal, we come across animals, stuff like that on this planet, we're blind to the fact that it's all from Earth. Okay, so if you have an alien, say, that comes from some other planet, they're all from this planet. Okay, they're all Gaian or whatever. They lump them into that group because they're not us, we're us, and they're them. Okay, that's how they think. That's how they would think probably if the nature of the universe is the same as it is here on Earth, which I have no reason to believe it's not. Okay, that's just a fact. You're blind to the unity that truly is there, based on the fact that the unity itself does not see itself, does not recognize itself. And you see this in some types of spirituality, such as some groups of Hinduism. You see this in Buddhism. You see this technically even in science. I mean, they've kind of essentially proven that we're all one group. We all came from life that evolved 4.6 billion years ago on this planet, or about 4 billion years, give or take. I mean, the time scale changes, but it's not because science is inaccurate, it's just because they find more evidence to substantiate one claim or to disprove another claim. Okay, so, I mean, that's basically what it all comes down to. Okay, that person's a seed of Satan, or that person's the child of God. It's self-identification. It doesn't matter what you identify with. You're always going to find some people who even if they identify as you disagree with, so you're going to find some means of identifying them separately from you. That's the separated oneness I was talking about earlier in my earlier videos, is that the individual will find a group that best suits him, that unifies, that he sees the unity, but at the cost of him dividing from what he perceives to be his enemy, or her enemy, or its enemy. So that is why saying we all come from Africa, or we're all human, it doesn't carry any weight, because we are all here. So they find reasons. Well, they may have Neanderthal in them, so technically, blah 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 blah. I mean, even saying we come from the Earth, they're going to try to find some quasi reason why we cannot unify. Okay, you're going to have like the new Black Panther Party coming up with some reason why they cannot unify with whites. They'll come up with some quasi information and some bullshit. You're going to find the Ku Klux Klan saying the same crap about, non-whites. Oh, well, we can't unify with them because of this, whatever. Okay? I mean, you have humans who treat dogs or their pets, which, I have no quarrel with this. I'm a pet owner myself. But they have humans who treat their animals that they supposedly, or say that they own, better than they treat their other humans. I mean, so that right there shows you that, even you can have more affinity towards a species, more love for, like a child maybe, for your animal than you could for a fellow human being. Okay, so I mean, that right there shows you that there's a unity, there's a interplanetary unity right there. Or, planetary unity, not interplanetary. But, so basically that's the problem that you have. Now in America, they do the race side more so, but they also do the religious side. You have class systems, you have caste systems, you have all types of systems, and nobody really wants to unify. They just want to blame the other for their problems so that they can seek out and destroy it. The problem is, you destroy that opposite, then your group has no reason to unify. Matter of fact, there was a guy, I'm going to try to find a link. Probably won't be posted while you're watching this video unless you watch it like months from now, because I'm going to have to search it. But there was a guy that talked about how In Africa, when the Europeans left, except for in South Africa, the unity the Africans have kind of just dissolved. And it's because, you have no value when you say, okay, we're all African. Yeah, well, now we're all African. So what are we uniting against? Because we're a predator species. Okay, it's a simple fact of all life forms on this planet. Okay, dogs have packs. They don't give a shit about, another pack of wolves somewhere around there. In fact, once again, a wolf can, if the wolf meets a human, they become, that pet and master relationship. They will trust each other more than they'll trust members of their own species. It's a simple fact. It's group mentality. You'll find the individual which helps you the most, be it whatever, but you'll find a way to unify with that. Oh, I own this pet, or oh, I'm of this group, and you're not of this group. You're against it, okay? Or you're against my group. So, that's how we unify. I mean, that's how we unify. We ignore the true unity that is there. Like, say, the universe. I mean, you'll come with some quasi bullshit about some fucking like, oh, this race or this religion is more connected to nature than this one. And how can that possibly be when everything is nature? Okay, you can't escape that fact. I'm sorry. Okay, you could be a racist, you could be religiousist, or whatever the hell you want to call it. You could be a culturalist. The simple fact is, you share the same planet, you share the same DNA. Somewhere along the line, you were once the same freaking species. So, I mean, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that just because you're blind to the overall unity of all things doesn't necessarily make you have superior knowledge over an individual or an individual group. That's just a simple fact. I mean, you have people trying to say, oh, whoever built the ancient world, the Egyptians and whoever was them, they're the superior race. Okay, the Greeks on it. They built triangles in freaking desert that lined up with stars. Okay, that only has as much importance as you give it, honestly. And to be honest with you, Egypt was probably more like America. It was a melting pot, so there was no one single Egyptian race. Simple fact. Okay, they unified on the basis of the fact that they were same culture. Okay, they were culturalists, I guess you could say. So they were Egyptian, and other people were non-Egyptians. Okay, regardless of what you looked like, you weren't an Egyptian. Sorry. Okay, that's just how they would have felt about you. Same thing with Greece. Okay, they only unified based upon their cities. Okay, you're Athenian, you're Spartan. They barely even unified as being Greek, because at the time when you find that small space, you don't meet anything that isn't Greek. So there's no real reason to come up with the self-identification of being a Greek. So anyway, like I said, I mean, racist groups, religious groups, they can only have their unity when there's a counter unity to go against that. Okay, it's a simple fact. I mean, sorry, it just is. You can laugh about one group disappearing, but once that group disappears, there's going to be a whole lot of shit going towards your group. You're going to see your group dissolve, break up, and become their own special groups, talking about how they want that group to disappear. That group's the problem of all their, that group's the cause of all their problems and everything. Simple fact, you're a predator species. That's how it is. Unless you realize the true unity of everything, you're not going to be able to get out of this little circle that you have, this little cycle that you have. It's vicious. It's basically based on the individual, but more so based on the fact that the individual is seeking a group mentality than anything. I mean, then you have people who are just, very individualist. They don't trust anybody, and that's because they've probably been rejected by most groups, most social groups, most religious groups. I mean, so they become an outcast basically and just identify with themselves. I don't need anybody, screw everybody else. Okay, so it's either have an individual who finds a group that he likes or an individual who fails to find that group and just becomes an individual. You never have that unifying effect of we are all human, we are all the universe, we're all reality, whatever. You just don't have that. Okay, but you have to remember that your unity, it's based upon separating from another group. It's interdependent on that group, the counter group's survival. Okay, no matter how bad you hate, if Ku Klux Klan, no matter how bad you hate black people, your unity is solely based upon the fact that they exist. Same with the New Black Panther Party. Your unity is solely based on the fact that white people exist. Okay, I mean, if we all one day just decide to unite and say that we're human, truly believe that, then you'd have problems with war and stuff like that, and eventually the unity would break down because you have nothing to unify yourself against. So, somebody's got to die in order for you to get resources, and that's when it happens. They'll start all over again. You either break apart and become a whole bunch of individualists, and eventually create a unity, because you have to, unite at least somewhat to reproduce. But, that's just my 2 cents. That's why, it's an inconvenient truth. That's why being human has no value, and why your group mentality is solely dependent upon the survival of your counter group mentality. Okay, so you better hope and pray that the people you hate actually don't stop existing, or else your group will stop existing. It's as simple as that. Okay, that's all I have to say, YouTube. Bye, and good luck.